This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Sitting here and have the pleasure of doing Browns winners and losers. The Browns are 8-5. The Browns just beat a playoff team. The Browns have proven to you, everybody that you know, and the whole fan base, hey man, we still a playoff contender. We still can make some happen in the playoffs. And who knows, maybe Joe Flacco can play better. Maybe we get even more out the offense. Maybe the defense starts locking it down once they get healthy. Who knows what the future is for the Cleveland Browns, but the future is what the future is right now, which is 8-5. It's a glorious day. And on all glorious days, we do winners and losers. So it's time for us to break down who the winners and losers are of Sunday's game, and what we're going to have to watch for as the week continues for the Cleveland Browns. First winner is one Joseph Flacco. Now, look, I've been more skeptical of most of Joe Flacco, even though I've always felt like, and you can go back even when they signed him, always felt like Joe Flacco was going to be good for 2 games. My concern about Joe Flacco is what game 3, 4, 5, and 6 are going to look like. But right now, if it looked like what it is right now, then we're going to be good. He had the one bad fumble and the one bad interception, but they were able to make up from that. The one interception came on a rub route. It looked like Cedric Tillman got knocked down on the rub route. You would like Joe to see that and not throw it. He didn't see it. He threw it. It is what it is. The defense got off the field after that anyways. The other turnover happened on a blind side, unblocked edge player. You would hope that you can get your tackles healthier later in the season and avoid that type of thing. So all of the turnovers that you had were things that you hoped to avoid with just more time. The thing is that while some things can get better with time, time is a bit of a chaotic factor with the Cleveland Browns at quarterback because our quarterback is 38 right now. So can't really bet on things getting better, but you can also bet on other things happening right now. I'm just happy to be happy with the quarterback position, but he balled out 300 yards, 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, made his layups, balled out, played well. Didn't have to do anything spectacular, but that's fine. That's exactly where you want Joe Flacco to be at. I think people have a misconception of who Joe Flacco was. Joe Flacco was the type of quarterback that if you could just keep him within himself, he would be fine enough to win with, right? And that's exactly what the Browns did today. They just kept him within himself. Didn't ask Joe to make any crazy throws. Didn't ask Joe to make any crazy reads. Just make the layups, take the layups. And if that's all you asking Joe Flacco to do, he's a veteran enough player and a good enough player to do that. Another person who deserves a shout out is Kevin Stefanski, man. I know some people were getting as crazy as saying that the Browns should fire Kevin if they lose out. Absolutely not. Kevin isn't a runner for coach of the year. If he went 2 more games, he might get it. He might get it. Absurdly well coached game today from Kevin on his side. Look at Joe Flacco's touchdowns. All 5 of them are completely uncontested. And that's not a slight to Joe Flacco. Again, making your layups is important. That's what separates the Browns from a team like Pittsburgh. But the fact that these are uncontested, wide open runs that they're getting with these wide receivers tells me that they're scheming, that they're in a good place. Look, I know everybody was mad at Kevin, said he shouldn't have to play calling no more after the Denver game. I made the argument that it's just a bad game. Good play callers have bad games all the time. They bounce back. Kevin bounced back. He's the play caller we all know and love back there. He was balling out. Same thing with Jim Schwartz. I thought he called a great game defensively after a couple of awkward games he called defensively where he got out of man and everything else. Now having a slot cornerback, he was much better in this game. But you can't talk about winners in this game without talking about Martin Emerson. Absolutely. Shut down baller. The Browns had 3 interceptions in this game, 2 from Martin Emerson and 1 from Greg Newsome. This is the first time I think they've had 3 interceptions in a game in a while. But It was straight balling from Martin Emerson. They kept trying Martin. And this is what I say about Martin. Martin might give up a couple plays here and there, but he's not the type of dude you want to pick on, because eventually Martin gonna get your ass. And they didn't even pick on Martin. Martin was just getting them from the get-go. The interception he got, the first one was incredible. The second one was just a horrible decision by Trevor Lawrence, but Martin got excellent hands, so he caught it. And then the Greg Newsome interception again, the secondary really stepped up, and it proves my point. While Denzel Ward is an important player, the secondary was hurting more, and no disrespect to Mike Ford, they were hurting more because Mike Ford was out there versus Denzel Ward not being out there, right? Like Mike Ford having to play was really the issue with the secondary, whether Denzel was in there or not. That was the issue, and I think we saw that because when Cam Mitchell was out there, the secondary was lock on, the Browns defense was getting pressure, everything starts with the defensive line, all of that, and then the secondary was able to capitalize and get some interceptions. Thought Martin Emerson played a great game, thought Greg Newsome played an exceptional game, especially as a tackler. You didn't see these secondary players miss tackles like you have previous weeks. Again, it goes down to a defensive line pressure and tackling. It's real simple, but when you're this talented, when you're this good on defense, it don't got to get complicated. It's real simple. You just get pressure, you just tackle, good shit follows that, you get 3 interceptions on the back end. Ain't like you did anything complex in the secondary to force those interceptions. You didn't confuse Trevor Lawrence into them interceptions. You forced Trevor Lawrence into them interceptions. And that's how you get good shit to happen for the secondary. Good stuff. Martin Emerson balled out. I thought Cam Mitchell played a great game when he was out there. There was the one play I pointed out during the live stream that he had done a great job of realizing where he was on the field and where the team adjusted to and adjusting his coverage to that. So what I mean by that is he started out as the slot defender. They rotated over. The Browns pushed everything over, so it ended up being Greg and Martin. Greg's inside. And then that left Cam on the left shoulder of his edge rusher. And a lot of corners get lost in that spot, but Cam did a great job of not rushing just because he had a situation where he could rush if he wanted to. He did a good job of not being overexcited, being patient, getting off the line of scrimmage, and then waiting to see what develops, because then they ran a tight end or tried to run the tight end over behind him, but he was right there for the coverage, and then that forced a 3 and out. Like small stuff like that Cam Mitchell was doing all game. I thought he was tackling really well. He was really good in that slot position. You could just see the difference between having him and Mike Ford in there. Again, no disrespect to Mike Ford, he's a really good special teams player, but Cam Mitchell was a true slot corner. And then once you get Denzel Ward back, obviously you get Greg Newsome in that spot. You could rotate in and out Cam Mitchell. That's going to be huge for this team, especially with some of the injuries that they sustained in this game. Hopefully nothing serious. JOK, I thought played super well in this game, had 2 tackles for losses. I don't know if y'all realize this, but JOK leads this team in TFLs. I think he's pretty high in the league in TFLs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but JOK has been one of the best playmaking linebackers in the NFL. He's not the most consistent linebacker in the NFL, but when it comes to making plays, nobody makes plays better than JOK. He's been a baller on that front. David Njoku had himself a game today, y'all. A game today. There was the one play where he just completely decided, I'm just going to bully you. I don't respect you. I'm just bullying you. And threw a grown ass man like several feet. He's Derrick Henry with the ball in his hand. It's absolutely absurd. More people don't talk about this more, and the Browns don't get this going a little bit more often, because man, when he does have the ball in his hand, like, I'm shocked they haven't tried to just give David Njoku a straight up carry the way he plays with the ball in his hand. Like, it's nuts. He has been an excellent player. Stepped up really well, got some yak plays, got some big plays here to extend some drives to kill some time on the clock. 6 receptions, 91 yards, 2 tutties, and 8 targets. Balling. David Njoku, been a baller. And he's going to have one of the best seasons of his career. It's already on track, if not above it now. He's going to have one of the best seasons of his career. He's going to, not one, my bad. He's going to have the best season of his career this year. It's almost guaranteed unless he gets hurt or something like that. I thought Elijah Moore continued his uptick in play this week. He dropped 1 ball, but for the most part, he was pretty solid. David Bell had the touchdown, of course, came up huge. Smart play by him and Joe Flacco to take advantage of the blitz that they got. They got a zero blitz out of nowhere, took advantage of it, scored on it. Just smart, heady football right there by David Bell and Joe Flacco. So they're both on the winners list. I am not 100% sure what to do with Coop, because if you look at Coop's stats, you might be confused. You might be like fooled into putting him in the winner category because he had like 74 yards on 7 receptions, but he just was not good in this one. Like, he had a bad game, in my opinion. He had that fumble. He just wasn't consistent catching the football. He wasn't as sharp as he usually is. Like, I know he's coming out of concussion protocol. He's been dealing with some injuries. I expect Coop to play better games going forward. Still too many turnovers, but we'll get to the negatives when we get to the negatives. But just not sure where to put Coop on this list of winners and losers. Thought Mo Hurst and the rest of that interior defensive line definitely showed up. This was a good run game, a good run defense game by the Cleveland Browns, right? They had struggled against the run almost all season. They played well against the run today. I think that was worth noting by this team. And I think the run defense that they showed in this game was also pretty unique. All right, let's talk about some of the things that weren't so great about this game today. One of the things that I felt like weren't so great about this game were the injuries. A lot of guys went out, right? Even before the game, Denzel Ward and Juan Thornhill, who it looked like they were going to play, did not play. Then during the game, you lose Ethan Posick, which means, yes, you are down to 2 starting offensive linemen, Joe Bitonio and Wyatt Teller. You lost Grant Delpit during this game. That meant all 3 of your starting safeties went down because you already lost Rodney McLeod and Grant Delpit, and then Juan Thornhill went out before the game. Denzel Ward didn't play, as I mentioned before. And then Cam Mitchell went out for a little bit. Zadarius Smith went out for a little bit. And Oba Okoronkwo went out for a little bit. All those injuries happened, and the good news is that you won. The thing that you're going to hold your breath for if you're the Browns is what that injury report's going to look like on Wednesday. Now, fortunately for you, you don't play the toughest opponent in the world, but I wouldn't overlook the Chicago Bears. They're playing really good football as of late, and also I think Justin Fields is playing good football as of late, so I wouldn't sleep on them. I think they've been playing good football lately, and we'll see what they do going forward, but it's a really nice place to be at. We're just going to have to hold our breath and look at these injuries. Still think there were too many turnovers in this game. There was a couple of moments where I was just really frustrated that the team kept making the same mistakes. So they went up 14 in this game, and it felt like they were going to play complimentary football and kind of run away with this one early on. But then Joe Flacco throws an interception. Then you get that interception back because you play good defense on the other side, force a punt. Then Amari Cooper immediately fumbles the ball right into territory. You give up a touchdown. Now you're in a tight, close game. Okay. The second half of the game, you go up by 14. You start to think to yourself, oh man, we about to breeze through this second half, right? Then what happens? Joe Flacco fumbles the ball. They score off the fumble. Now you're in a tight game. Still too much of that, right? Whatever is causing these turnovers, it has to stop. We got to turn the ball over less. And the referees, we just didn't get great calls. Miles was complaining about the refs at the end of this game. The pass interference call on Anthony Walker, I felt like was a really weird one. And the lack of holding called on Miles all game was ridiculous. Like, Miles was absolutely killing Blake Hands and just could not buy a holding penalty to save his life. It's like they refused to give it to him. And I think the reason it's so unfair why Myles Garrett never gets a holding call, or even TJ Watt or these elite edge rushers, why they never get a holding call. Because to the referees, they see your existence as just being Myles Garrett as an unfair advantage. So they don't see it as cheating when somebody grabs you, because they think that your existence is just an unfair advantage. And that's just not a good way to referee the game. Like, it just isn't. And it leads to a lot of people being upset. And Myles Garrett spoke out on it. I'm 100% sure when it comes to Saturday, he's going to get fined for that. But I think he's fine with that because it's ridiculous. More people need to bring attention to it. It needs to become a thing that people complain about more often so that something actually gets done, or at least the league feels like something needs to get done, because it's ridiculous, right? Let these great players be great players. I understand that, you don't want these quarterbacks to get hit a ton, but it's not like they're getting hit in ways that are dirty or anything like that. Just let them play a little bit more, and well, not let them play, but like call some of this stuff that gets egregious, right? Like it's getting egregious with the edge stuff. The pass interference call, it was a rough one. It technically happened, but like, I don't know if you call it in that moment, ended up not mattering. It was basically garbage time plus to me because I didn't feel like the Browns were going to fumble the onside kick. Like once it got down to 140 on the clock, I'm like, the Browns ain't going to fumble this onside kick. We don't have Mike Prefer there no more. We fixed that problem. So we're going to probably catch this onside kick, run this clock out and win the game. So I felt like that touchdown was really in garbage time plus. So it really didn't matter. But Miles ended up getting his first sack of the game out of that. So that's good there. But those are the winners and losers of this Browns game. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Who are your winners and losers? Thank you for watching. I want y'all to have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.